Welcome to Bare Lifestyle, the podcast where we speak up and speak out about all taboo topics to make them normal and acceptable. I'm your host, Simona Spark, a best-selling author, international speaker, transformational coach, and so many other things. Beyond anything else, I'm a woman who stopped following other people's rules and started creating my own. In this space, we are ready to get naked by stripping away insecurities and judgments and all kinds of limitations and reaching in for the essence of who we really are bare. Beautiful, authentic, real, and ever evolving. Please join the conversation by sharing with us your insights and your questions. You could email us directly to transformation@simonaspark.com, or you could DM us on Instagram at Simona Spark World. Thank you for joining me today. Let's begin. Welcome back. Welcome to Bare Lifestyle Podcast. I'm celebrating you and I'm celebrating myself and celebrating everyone with chamomile tea. Cheers, cheers. Oh, still hot. For those of you that have been following me for a while, welcome back. I'm very grateful that you're here again. Welcome, welcome. And for those of you that you just landed here for the first time, I'm so excited that you find this space. Welcome. Welcome to a space where we are just going to say the things in the way that we think them and we feel them, with the intention of breaking the taboo topics and just gain different perspectives on different topics. So welcome. Today, I want to talk about relationships and commitment. I know I've been circling and tip-topping around this for a while, and it's such a huge topic. So chances are that we're going to talk about this again and again and again. For those of you that you just find this space today, I will have you know that I just completed a loving long-distance relationship, and I'm in the process of integrating everything that had happened. So I will have my ex next week. We're gonna do the podcast together. And again, if you're here for the first time, last season I co-hosted with him, so go back and listen to those episodes that we just let you into how we manage this long distance relationship. So I will have him back next week just to see where things are settling for each other. What did we integrate, and what are the things that come up in our own individual journey, right? So as I say, being in this process of integrating this beautiful relationship, it had me look inwards a lot. As we go through life, as we go through experiences, every event, every person, every experience, everything that happens leaves a print on us. And what that does, it's impacting who we are. I am a believer that we wake up every morning as a new person. It is my daily morning intention to figure out who this new woman is, right? Like looking at her in a mirror and figure out what changed, what shifted, and who is she today. So being in a relationship with another human for a few months, of course, left a significant print on my identity, on my life experience, right? And maybe for the first time, possibly most likely, for the first time, I'm really intentional about taking all in, all the lessons, all the love, all the good experiences that I had, and see how this could serve me moving forward. So being in that work and also running a coaching practice, a few days ago, I was reading I was doing some research around executive coaching, right? Working with companies and businesses, and how NLP and identity shift applies when it comes to businesses, right? So I was doing some research about that, reading some articles, some studies, and I discovered this piece of information that was talking about the life expectancy, 100 years ago, like in 1500s, the life expectancy was 40 throughout Europe anyway. And going back into what that means and how that might have us behave and how that impact our desires, our life dreams and such. So is this break about how they choose families, how they choose their careers, right? With a lifetime partner and lifetime career. So think about it. If you, let's say, we go back, 300-400 years ago. And here we are, I don't know, 16, 18, 20, when we are most likely allowed to work and get married, right? You get married with this person for the rest of your life, and you choose a job to do it for the rest of your life, but the rest of the life is 20 years. So how is that relevant now? Well, it's very relevant through the lens of programming, to understand that very deep, deep, deep into our beliefs. In fact, the seeds of our beliefs lives in programming, generational programming. So as the world evolved and the life expectancy grew, so now think about it. Here we are with the life expectancy of 80, 90, this new generation, the predictions are they could live, 100 years, over 100 years old. And our programming, deep, 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 at the bottom of the deepest bottom of our beliefs, we are choosing careers for the rest of our lives. We are choosing partners through marriage for the rest of our lives. And the question is, how sustainable that is. If you are in your 40s, or somebody in their 40s, you are aware of this midlife crisis, right? I think we all know about that. What this midlife crisis is about, it's usually labeled on two circumstances. One, if the person want to change their career, regardless if it's successful or not. And two, if the persons want to change their partners, regardless if they are married or not. So it had me wonder, is this a crisis? Or is this that old programming running out, the end of the old programming? Because if we are programmed for the rest of our lives should end in 40, 50s, then here we are, we completed. What do we do next? I'm very curious, what do you hear from this, and what is your input on this concept? Because as a woman in late 40s, I refuse to fall into those stereotypes of crisis, right? We are very quick to say, oh, it's a crisis. She divorced, she's going to crisis. She's changed career, she's going to crisis. It's like, no, can we just look at what actually happens, right? It gets to be more simple than that. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it gets to be more simple than that. As someone that I completed 3 marriages, I now believe that we get to choose, we literally get to choose for how long we stay in one relationship. Because I do know relationships, they are lasting for decades, but they're miserable. So while they're together because of their beliefs, they are together because of their religion beliefs, they are together because of the sake of the children, even the children are all adults, they're together because they don't want to confront with what people will say, etc., right? And very few of them, they're together because they actually want to be together. But it is my belief that those are very few. Same goes for the careers. I mean, more and more we see people like it's all over the social media. This concept of burnout, that's how it's translated. A lot of people, they're on successful careers, they're having great jobs, but they are burned out. Why? Because not only they work a lot and they don't have time to live their life actually, but it's because they don't like what they do anymore. So all these big jobs, right, that we are taught that are big jobs, like being a doctor, how are you supposed to drop that career and go be, I don't know, a yoga teacher from that? Think about it. It's a huge shift. And the problem again is like not with the person that make the change, because the person, when the person make the change, they made it because they know in their being that that's what they desire, and they go after they desire. The problem and the anxiety and the stress around that, it's coming from what do I say to the people around me? How do I justify why I dropped the being a doctor to becoming a yoga teacher? And this is not to say that that's a big job and the other one, it's a little job. I just want to present a contrast of like two different areas, two different spaces of putting good into the world. So is it that true for the relationships though? How many people do you know, because I know quite few, that they stay into a miserable marriage for the same reason? They don't know what to say to the people around them when they ask them why they divorce. Needless to say, why do we need to explain? I know for my last divorce, I choose my people, very few. The people that I let into the details, and I really share what happened and what went into that decision. But most of people, it's as simple as it didn't work out. And people are very intrusive. What happened? You guys are good together. This, and that, whatever they saw from the outside, right? And they try to convince you, kind of like you make a bad decision, or what's wrong with you? Why did you do that? I'm pretty sure that you know exactly what I'm talking about. Same goes for jobs, same goes for when you break up with your boyfriend or with your girlfriend, you know, people saw that for a minute and they get a glimpse of happiness or whatever. And then when the things are separate and they're falling apart, they're the one like freaking out. Like, why are you freaking out? Are we not here to have a good experience? Are we not here to move, to shift, to change whatever is not working anymore, to get back into having a good experience? That might be in a different space, in a different location, with a different person, in a different job, etc. So for me, I just realized for even this relationship that, you know, people knew that I have a boyfriend across the world, and it's like, how is it going? I'm like, well, we broke up. Oh no, what happened? And it's just, it didn't work out. What happened? Like, they really want to know what happened. And for the first time I get to say, I don't want to get into the details. Or I say, go to the last episode of the previous season of my podcast, and we are both talking about it. Because it's recorded and documented, right? But point being is, we do not own anyone any explanations about the decisions that we are making for our own life, for our own well-being. And maybe all together, collectively, we could learn how to be less intrusive. We could learn how to maybe don't ask the question, what happened? Maybe don't ask for details, and maybe just allow the person in front of us to decide if they want to let us in or not, because it is personal and it is private, and it is not our business why people make changes in their lives. So I'm curious, did ever this happen to you? Going to a career change or a partner change and have people around you, I will even dare to say, being dramatic about it, because it's like feeding on drama. Oh, there's some drama going on. Let me know what happened. I want the details. Let's trash them together. So if you had that experience, please share with us. leave it in a comment, or you can email me directly at transformation@simonaspark.com. And also let us know, how would you change that? What is a boundary that you could create and establish in situations like this? Changing your address, your partner, your job. And can we just drop it and no longer call it midlife crisis? There is no crisis. There is just a misalignment. I no longer align with this person. I no longer align with this community. I no longer align with the work that I do every day. So I have two options: stay there, be miserable, pretend that everything is cool, so people around me not bug me about it, or take the brave stuff and do the change that I need to do so I'll get back in alignment. So the location, the partner, the job, the work, the hobbies, the sport, the whatever it is that I'm doing is really in alignment with who I am today. Because today I'm a totally different person than the person that chose that job, that chose that partner. So if we evolve and we grow apart, and the gap, it got bigger and bigger and bigger, so big that we couldn't even work through the differences, then what? Are we not both deserving to be happy? Is it now the time to say, hey, let's go a separate way and find the one that matches who we are? That there is not such a big gap between us, that there is no work on it required. And look, nobody gets to tell you how big or how small that gap gets to be, or when is the time to don't want to work through it or want to work through it. That's up to the people involved only. And even there, and I know I have that situation in my life, one could feel we could work through these differences, and the other one could feel we cannot work through these differences. And that is just creating the gap even bigger. So I personally am very curious how I'm going to show up in my next relationship. I'm just very curious who's going to be the next person, because one thing that I learned throughout my life, and it's just getting so much clearer and clearer as I go, is that this mirroring universe is no joke. It's very real. We do attract in our life people that we energetically match with. So I want you to pay attention to this. Pay attention to the people in your life and acknowledge that there is a part of you that is matching that person. So now, that being said, I also want you to take a closer look to each individual relationship and acknowledge, is this a loving relationship? Am I feeling good in this relationship? What that tells me? That tells me that most of my being, it's matching the other person. And then you look into the next relationship, and you might feel like, oh my God, it's calling me again. I don't want to talk with her. And she could be your mother or your sister or your friend or your wife. The minute that you feel that, chances are that most of your being does not match with that person anymore. So it's not to say, oh my God, they're annoying or I cannot stand them. It's just to say we grew apart. In order for us to be in a conversation and have a pleasant conversation, we really need to put the work in. And then it becomes really hard. Yeah, I do believe that we are here to have a good experience on every level, with our partners, with our family members, with our colleagues, with our friends. And when that doesn't happen, is to look how big this gap is. And what are the differences that we need to work through them, both of us, in order to get back into alignment, both of us, right? That's my piece for today. And I will let you in more and more as I'm in this introspective work and integration work. And I'm here to share the things that are coming up for me, because as unique and wonderful we individually are, we are also not that special, in a sense that I'm pretty sure there are other people that are going through the same experience. And I just want to share my experience and my perspective with the intention of helping another human to be less hard on themselves and to have a better experience, to acknowledge your beauty, to show up in your authenticity, to keep it real, and to allow yourself to ever evolve every day. That being said, I will leave you here and I will see you next week. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. Please follow, rate, and review your favorite episode and share it with your friends. I would love to hear from you. What inspired you? What triggered you? And what interests you? For more bear experiences, please go to simonaspark.com/bear. And for a daily bear inspiration, please follow us on Instagram at Simona Spark World. I can't wait to have you back. Until then, be bear. Beautiful, authentic, real, and ever evolving. Lots of love, my friend.